Welcome back to the Echoes of Ihsan podcast.
Oh,
We really love these deep dives, and today we're tackling something uh, particularly fascinating.
oh yeah.
Sahih Muslim, Book 41, Turmoil and Portents of the Last Hour. Um, you shared this text, and it's clear you're interested in these prophecies and these warnings
Right.
about the end times.
Mhm.
We're talking about events that have captivated and intrigued people, gosh, for centuries.
It is really a rich tapestry of signs and symbols woven together to kind of paint a picture of what the world might look like as we approach the last hour. It offers these glimpses into this period of intense turmoil and upheaval, but also moments of hope and divine intervention.
Exactly. And it's not just about predicting the future, is it?
Yeah.
It's about understanding these forces at play in the world, the spiritual and moral challenges we face, and how to navigate these turbulent times with faith and wisdom.
Absolutely. And Sahih Muslim being one of the most trusted collections of the Prophet Muhammad's sayings and actions, offers invaluable insights into how to prepare for these challenges, both individually and as a community.
Okay, so let's jump right in. One of the first things that really grabbed my attention in this book was the mention of Gog and Magog.
Yeah.
These names, they appear in Islamic, Christian, and Jewish traditions, and they always seem to represent these chaotic, destructive forces.
They're often depicted as these hordes of barbarians, driven by this insatiable thirst for conquest and destruction, held back from wreaking havoc on the world only by this divine barrier.
It's like a global safety valve holding back this immense pressure. And in Sahih Muslim, we find these incredibly vivid descriptions of the barrier weakening like it's about to burst.
Right. Some narrations describe the Prophet Muhammad using, like, hand gestures to illustrate the widening gap, emphasizing the urgency and magnitude of this event.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you can feel the tension building, the sense that something colossal is about to be unleashed.
I was particularly struck by the Hadith, where Zainab bint Josh, the Prophet's wife, asks this question that I think we'd all want to know.
Okay.
Will we be destroyed even though there are good people among us?
It's a question that really speaks to a deep human fear. The fear of collective punishment, the worry that the actions of the wicked will bring ruin upon the righteous.
And the Prophet's response is both sobering and thought-provoking. He says, yes, when evil predominates.
Right.
It's the stark reminder that the balance between good and evil is constantly in flux, and that the prevalence of evil has consequences, even for those who strive for righteousness.
It highlights the interconnectedness of humanity, the way our individual choices and actions contribute to the overall state of the world. It's a call to reflect on how we're contributing to the balance, whether we're adding to the forces of good or kind of inadvertently supporting the spread of evil.
It makes you think about the ripple effect of our actions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How even seemingly small choices can have far-reaching consequences, either positively or negatively.
Absolutely. And it emphasizes the importance of actively promoting good, of speaking out against injustice, of striving to be a positive force in a world that's often filled with darkness.
Now, another set of hadith that really captured my imagination were the ones describing this army attacking the Kaaba, the holiest site in Islam, only to be swallowed by the earth.
Wow.
Such a dramatic, almost cinematic image.
It evokes this sense of divine retribution,
Hmm.
of the earth itself rising up to defend the sanctity of this sacred space. The Kaaba, being the symbolic house of God, represents the heart of Islam, and attacking it is seen as an attack on the very foundations of the faith.
And the way these hadith describe the earth opening up and swallowing this army whole, it's almost as if the earth itself is rejecting this act of aggression, this violation of something sacred.
It's a powerful image, and it raises some interesting questions. Is it meant to be taken literally, or is there a deeper symbolic meaning here? What do you think this event might symbolize for you as you read these hadith?
I think it could be interpreted on multiple levels. It could be seen as a literal event, a demonstration of God's power to protect his sacred space.
Right.
But it could also be a metaphor for the ultimate downfall of those who oppose righteousness, who seek to undermine the foundations of faith and morality.
Exactly. The earth swallowing them whole could represent the consequences of their actions, the way their own corruption ultimately consumes them.
And there's this other layer to these hadith that I find particularly intriguing. The fate of those who are forced to accompany the army, who might not share their intentions.
This is where things get ethically complex. The hadiths say that even those forced to go with this army, even if they don't agree with its mission, they still face the same fate. It makes you think about individual responsibility versus the power of circumstance, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It raises questions about free will, about the weight of our intentions, and about how we navigate situations where we're caught between competing loyalties or pressures.
The Hadith offers some comfort by saying that those forced to accompany the army will be raised on the day of judgment based on their intentions. So their inner state, their true beliefs, will be taken into account.
That's reassuring in a way. It suggests that even when caught in difficult circumstances, even when forced to participate in acts we don't condone, our intentions still hold weight.
It underscores the importance of maintaining our moral compass, of holding on to our values, even when surrounded by darkness and corruption.
So we've talked about Gog and Magog, this destructive force held back by a divine barrier, and we've explored this dramatic image of an army attacking the Kaaba and being swallowed by the earth.
Right.
Both of these themes speak to this idea of a world on the brink of chaos, a world where the forces of good and evil are clashing in increasingly dramatic ways.
Absolutely.
And Sahih Muslim doesn't just focus on these specific events. It also paints this broader picture of turmoil and upheaval,
Yeah.
comparing it to like widespread, unavoidable rainfall.
Imagine trying to outrun a torrential downpour. It's relentless, inescapable. That's the kind of pervasiveness these hadith evoke when talking about the turmoil that will precede the last hour.
I love that imagery. It really drives home the point that this turmoil won't be confined to one place or one group of people. It will be a global phenomenon, something that touches every corner of the world.
And amidst this widespread turmoil, there's this recurring emphasis on seeking refuge, on finding ways to weather the storm, both physically and spiritually.
One hadith advises people to stick to one's camel, sheep, or land.
Mm.
It's such a grounding, practical piece of advice.
Mm.
But how do we interpret that in today's world?
Right.
What are our camels, our sheep, our land in a contemporary context? What do you think?
That's a great question, and I think it invites each of us to reflect on what truly grounds us, what provides us with stability and a sense of belonging amidst chaos.
It could be our families, our communities, our values, our spiritual practices, the things that anchor us to what's truly important, the things that provide a sense of purpose and meaning, even in the face of great uncertainty.
Exactly. It's about identifying those sources of strength and resilience in our lives and nurturing them, strengthening them, so that we're better equipped to face whatever challenges lie ahead.
So we've talked about external turmoil, this global upheaval that's likened to like a torrential downpour. But Sahih Muslim also highlights another form of turmoil, one that's equally, if not more dangerous.
Internal conflict. Division within the Muslim community. This is presented as a major sign of the approaching last hour, a symptom of spiritual decay, and a harbinger of greater calamities.
There are some very stark warnings in the text about Muslims fighting each other, emphasizing the severe consequences for both the perpetrator and the victim.
The concept of harj, meaning bloodshed or unlawful killing, is introduced here, and it's considered one of the most serious sins in Islam, especially when it involves fellow Muslims.
And if we connect this to the hadith about the Muslim community being destroyed from within, it highlights the critical importance of unity, of resolving conflicts peacefully, of upholding the values of compassion and mercy, even in the face of disagreement.
It's a reminder that division weakens us, makes us vulnerable to external threats, and undermines our ability to be a force for good in the world.
Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground already, and there's so much more to unpack. But before we wrap up this first part of our deep dive, there's one more set of hadith I want to touch on because they're just so captivating.
Oh, are you talking about the ones about the Euphrates River revealing a mountain of gold?
Yes, those ones. They're like something straight out of a treasure hunting adventure. Imagine the Euphrates, this ancient river, suddenly drying up to reveal this mountain of gold sparkling in the sunlight. It's such a vivid, almost surreal image.
It certainly captures the imagination, doesn't it? And it speaks to a very human desire for wealth, for abundance, for something that seems to promise security and comfort.
But here's the twist. The Hadith explicitly warn against taking any of this gold. It's presented as a test, a temptation, a measure of our attachment to material possessions.
It's a powerful reminder that even in times of upheaval, even when faced with apparent opportunities for gain, we should prioritize our spiritual values, our moral principles, over the allure of material wealth.
It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of greed and materialism, especially in a time of crisis. When everything seems uncertain, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of wealth, thinking it will provide security and stability.
But the Hadith suggests that true security lies not in material possessions, but in our connection with God, in our faith, in our good deeds.
It's a reminder to keep our priorities straight, to focus on what truly matters, even when surrounded by temptations.
And with that thought-provoking message, perhaps we should pause here for now. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into Sahih Muslim, Book 41. We've explored themes of turmoil, divine retribution, internal conflict, and the allure of material wealth.
And we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more to uncover, so many more insights to glean from these prophetic traditions.
But for now, I hope this has given you a taste of the richness and complexity of this text, and I'm eager to continue our exploration with you in the next part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Sahih Muslim, Book 41. We've been exploring these prophecies and warnings about the end times, and I'm sure your mind is already, buzzing with thoughts and questions.
Absolutely. It's hard not to feel this sense of awe and trepidation when contemplating these events, these signs that point towards this time of great upheaval and transformation.
It's natural to feel that way, These prophecies challenge us to kind of confront the impermanence of this world,
Yeah.
to contemplate the ultimate purpose of our existence, and to prepare ourselves for what lies beyond.
And to navigate these turbulent times, Sahih Muslim offers this wealth of guidance, emphasizing certain qualities and practices that can help us stay grounded and resilient amidst chaos.
One of the key themes that emerges is this concept of fitna, often translated as turmoil or tribulation.
But it's not just about external events. It's also about these internal struggles we face, the tests of faith and temptations that can, lead us astray.
So fitna can manifest in many forms, from political and social unrest to the allure of materialism and the whispers of doubt that can creep into our hearts. It's like this constant battle between our higher selves and our baser instincts, wouldn't you say?
Precisely. Fitna can appear as these glittering temptations that distract us from our true purpose, or as trials and hardships that test our patience and resolve.
And navigating these trials successfully requires this strong foundation of faith, knowledge, and this unwavering commitment to righteous action.
Absolutely. We need to equip ourselves with the tools that will allow us to discern truth from falsehood, to resist temptation, and to persevere through hardship.
The book emphasizes that these trials are not random occurrences, but rather part of this divine plan, a test designed to purify and elevate those who remain steadfast. It's like a crucible that burns away impurities, leaving behind only what is strong and true.
That's a beautiful analogy. It really reframes these challenges as opportunities for growth, as stepping stones on our spiritual journey.
So how do we, as individuals, prepare for these challenges? What tools does Sahih Muslim provide for navigating these turbulent times?
Well, one recurring theme is the importance of seeking knowledge. The more we understand about the nature of these trials, the better equipped we are to face them.
Knowledge is our shield against deception and misguidance. It allows us to recognize the signs of fitna, to understand the tactics of those who seek to lead us astray, and to make informed decisions.
And the book doesn't just tell us to seek knowledge in this general sense. It specifically emphasizes the importance of learning and understanding the Hadith, because these sayings and traditions of the Prophet Muhammad offer invaluable guidance for navigating every aspect of life, including the challenges of the end times.
They're like this roadmap, providing direction and clarity amidst, confusion and uncertainty. They offer practical advice, ethical guidelines, and spiritual insights that can, illuminate our path.
Another key element is the cultivation of a strong connection with God through prayer, remembrance, and sincere devotion.
Right. Because when our hearts are anchored in faith, we're less likely to be swayed by the winds of, fitna, by the temptations of this world or the doubts that can cloud our minds.
It's like having this spiritual anchor that keeps us grounded amidst the storms of life. It reminds us of what is truly important, of our ultimate purpose, and of the one who sustains us through every trial.
And this brings us to another critical point, the importance of righteous action. It's not enough to simply have faith and knowledge. We must also live in accordance with those principles, embodying them in our daily lives.
Our actions speak louder than words, and they demonstrate the sincerity of our faith. They are the outward manifestation of our inner state, the proof of our commitment to God and His teachings.
And remember those hadith about the army being swallowed by the earth. Even those forced to accompany the army were judged based on their intentions. So our intentions matter deeply, even when our actions might be constrained by circumstances.
Right. It's a reminder that we should always strive to align our intentions with what is right and just. Even when faced with pressure to conform or compromise, our intentions shape our actions, and our actions shape our character.
Another powerful theme that emerges from the text is the importance of patience and perseverance. because facing these trials will undoubtedly be difficult. And there will be times when we feel overwhelmed or despairing.
But the book reminds us that these difficulties are temporary and that those who endure with patience will ultimately be rewarded. The path to paradise is not always easy, but it is paved with the footsteps of those who remain steadfast in their faith and persevere through hardship.
It's like a marathon, not a sprint. We need to pace ourselves, stay focused, and remember that the finish line, the ultimate reward, awaits those who endure to the end.
And amidst all this talk of turmoil and trials, there's also a glimmer of hope, a reminder of the ultimate triumph of good over evil. The Hadith speak of a time when justice will prevail, when oppression will cease, and when peace and righteousness will reign.
Absolutely. The Hadith about the descent of Jesus, his defeat of the Dajjal, the establishment of justice and peace, these offer this powerful vision of a world transformed, a world where truth and goodness ultimately prevail.
It's a reminder that even amidst the darkest of times, light will ultimately prevail, and that the struggles we endure in this world are ultimately paving the way for a brighter future.
You know, as we've been talking about these signs and prophecies, I've been thinking about how they resonate with the challenges we face in the world today. We see conflict, injustice, and this growing sense of uncertainty. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to wonder if things will ever get better.
It's understandable to feel that way, but the Hadith remind us that these challenges are not new. They are part of the human experience, and they've been faced by, generations before us.
And while the specific events described in the Hadith might not be happening right now, the principles they embody, the lessons they teach, are timeless and universally applicable.
They offer guidance for navigating any time of turmoil, whether personal or global. They remind us to strengthen our faith, to cultivate inner peace, to act with compassion and justice, and to never lose hope in the ultimate triumph of good.
Now let's shift our focus to a particularly intriguing figure who emerges in these Hadith, someone who embodies the complexities of faith and deception, Ibn Sayyid.
Yes, Ibn Sayyid. This enigmatic figure puzzled even the Prophet Muhammad's closest companions, sparking debates and speculations about his true nature.
Some suspected that he might be the Dajjal, the deceptive figure who will appear before the last hour, while others believed he was simply a man possessed by a jinn, a supernatural being.
The Hadith recount these fascinating encounters between Ibn Sayyid and the Prophet Muhammad, where Ibn Sayyid makes claims that seem to support his prophetic status, like claiming to see the throne of Iblis upon the water.
It's as if he's trying to, blur the lines between truth and falsehood, to sow seeds of doubt and confusion among the believers.
And yet, the Prophet Muhammad consistently refutes these claims, warning his companions not to be deceived by Ibn Sayyid's words or actions.
But even with the Prophet's warnings, there seems to have been this, ongoing debate and uncertainty surrounding Ibn Sayyid's true identity, even after the Prophet's death.
Companions like Ibn Umar and Fatima bint Qais recount these encounters with Ibn Sayyid that leave them kind of questioning and perplexed, unsure of whether to believe his claims or dismiss them as the ramblings of a madman or a deceiver.
It adds this layer of mystery and suspense to this whole discussion of the end times, doesn't it? It's as if the Hadith are prompting us to be more discerning, to question what we see and hear, to test claims against the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad and the principles of Islam.
Exactly. Ibn Sayyid's story serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that deception can be subtle and alluring, and that we must be vigilant in guarding our hearts and minds against falsehood.
It highlights the importance of relying on authentic sources of knowledge, like the Hadith, and seeking guidance from those who are firmly grounded in Islamic teachings.
Because in a world where deception and misguidance are rampant, especially during times of turmoil, it's crucial to have this reliable compass to guide us, this solid foundation upon which to build our understanding and navigate the complexities of faith and life.
So as we delve deeper into Sahih Muslim Book 41, we're starting to see how these prophecies and warnings are not just about predicting the future. They're also about providing us with the tools and insights we need to navigate the challenges of the present, to live with awareness, integrity, and a deep connection to our Creator.
They encourage us to strengthen our faith, deepen our knowledge, and live in accordance with our values, preparing ourselves not only for the events of the last hour, but also for the tests and trials we face in our everyday lives.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Sahih Muslim Book 41.
Yeah.
We've been on quite a journey, exploring these prophecies and warnings about the end times. It's fascinating how each piece of the puzzle seems to, connect to this bigger picture.
It's like we're weaving a tapestry, thread by thread, revealing this intricate design of events leading up to the last hour. Each sign, each event, kind of builds upon the previous one, ultimately leading to this grand culmination.
And amidst all these signs, there's this constant reminder about recognizing and responding to them appropriately.
Right,
It's not about, living in fear or getting lost in endless speculation,
right.
but rather about using these signs as, like, prompts for spiritual growth and preparation.
It's about understanding that this world is temporary, a stepping stone to the eternal life that awaits us. The signs are not meant to paralyze us with fear, but to awaken us to the reality of our existence and encourage us to prioritize what truly matters.
One hadith that really stuck with me describes a time when people will wish they were in their graves due to the overwhelming calamity.
Hmm.
Imagine a world so full of turmoil and suffering that death seems like a refuge.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? But it speaks volumes about the intensity of the trials and tribulations that will precede the last hour. It underscores the need to cultivate a deep and unwavering faith, this spiritual anchor that can sustain us, even in the face of, unimaginable hardship.
Because ultimately it's our faith, our connection with God, that will be our source of strength and solace in those trying times, is what will guide us through the darkness and help us make sense of the chaos.
Now let's delve into some of the specific events described in the text, events that are said to precede the last hour. One that's particularly striking is the destruction of the Kaaba.
It's hard to even fathom such a thing. The Kaaba is the holiest site in Islam, this symbol of unity and devotion for millions around the world. To think of it being destroyed is, like, deeply unsettling.
The Hadith describe it being destroyed by an Abyssinian, which some scholars believe points to the symbolic nature of this event, highlighting the potential for destruction to come from, unexpected sources.
It serves as this stark reminder that no structure, no institution, no matter how sacred, is immune to the forces of change and decay that are inherent in the nature of this world.
Even something as central to the faith as the Kaaba is subject to the decree of God and the unfolding of his divine plan.
It makes you reflect on the impermanence of all things, doesn't it? It
Mm.
challenges us to kind of detach ourselves from worldly attachments and to place our trust in something greater than ourselves.
Another figure that emerges in these hadith is Al-Jah, this tyrannical ruler who will wield power and oppression, further intensifying the turmoil and suffering in the world.
His reign is described as this time of great injustice and hardship, a stark contrast to the period of peace and prosperity that's prophesied to precede it.
It's a reminder that the path to the last hour is not linear. There will be periods of relative calm and periods of intense tribulation, moments of hope and moments of despair. It's a test of our patience, our resilience, and our unwavering faith in God's plan.
But amidst all this darkness, there's also this, like, glimmer of light. The Hadith describe the emergence of a just caliph, someone who embodies the true principles of Islamic leadership.
This caliph is portrayed as someone who governs with fairness and compassion, who distributes wealth generously, and who upholds justice for all.
It offers a glimpse of a more equitable and compassionate world, a world where the needs of all are met and where the principles of Islam are reflected in the actions of those in power.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of turmoil, God can raise up righteous leaders to guide and protect the believers.
But this period of, relative peace and prosperity isn't the end of the story. The Hadith go on to describe further trials, including conflicts with people described as Turks.
These descriptions are quite detailed, mentioning their physical features and attire, and they've led to various interpretations throughout history.
Some scholars take these descriptions literally, while others see them as kind of symbolic representations of forces that oppose faith and righteousness.
Regardless of the interpretation, it's clear that these conflicts represent significant challenges for the believers, tests of their strength and resilience.
They highlight the ongoing struggle between good and evil that will persist until the very end of time.
And interwoven with these global events, there are also personal trials, such as the death of Ammar, this close companion of the Prophet Muhammad, who is prophesied to be killed by a group of rebels.
This event is particularly poignant because it highlights the potential for betrayal and internal strife, even within the Muslim community.
It serves as a reminder that fitna can manifest in unexpected ways, and that we must always be vigilant in guarding our hearts and actions against the whispers of division and discord.
So, we've journeyed through these prophecies and warnings about the end times. We've encountered figures like Gog and Magog, Ibn Said, Al-Jajah, and the Just Caliph. We've explored events like the destruction of the Kaaba and the conflicts with various groups.
And throughout it all, we've seen this recurring emphasis on strengthening our faith, deepening our knowledge, and living in accordance with our values.
What stands out to you as the most important takeaway from all this?
For me, it's the reminder that the end times are not just about external events. They're about the state of our hearts, our connection with God, and our actions in this life.
It's a call to introspection, to self-reflection, to examine our own beliefs and behaviors and to make sure we're, aligned with the teachings of Islam and the example of the Prophet Muhammad.
It's about preparing ourselves not only for the challenges of the hereafter, but also for the tests and trials we face in this world.
And what can we do to prepare ourselves? What practical steps can we take to strengthen our faith and live more righteously?
Well, the Hadith offer a wealth of guidance in this regard. They emphasize the importance of prayer, seeking knowledge, performing good deeds, maintaining good character, and being mindful of our thoughts and intentions.
It's about striving to embody the values of Islam in our everyday lives, to be compassionate, just, truthful, and kind, and to constantly seek to improve ourselves and draw closer to God.
And even though these prophecies might seem, daunting or even frightening, they ultimately offer a message of hope. They remind us that God is in control and that even amidst the turmoil and uncertainty of this world, there is a plan, a purpose, and a promise of a better future.
We've only scratched the surface of this complex and fascinating topic, but I hope this deep dive into Sahih Muslim Book 41 has given you a deeper understanding of Islamic eschatology and the lessons it holds for us all.
It's an ongoing journey of learning and reflection, and we encourage you to continue exploring these prophecies and warnings on your own.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparked your curiosity and inspired you to delve deeper into the wisdom of the Islamic tradition.
And may these prophetic teachings guide us all towards a life of meaning, purpose, and unwavering faith.